turning away. Global watchmen shining through the gray, from the shadows to the screen. They decode what the silence means. Click subscribe, let the veil be torn. This is the news we've been waiting for. Turning away. Global watchmen leading the way. Every story, every thread, for the living and the misled. Raise your voice, let the signal soar. This is the news we've been waiting for.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global Watchman News. My name is Lori Spong. Hope you guys are all doing well. If you're in the live chat, we do ask you to keep it family friendly. There will be moderators in there to make sure that we stay within the terms of service put forth to us by the platform we're utilizing tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Take a minute, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when we go live. So we have kicked off our new season of Global Watchman News, and we are welcoming back our good friend, Dr. Joye Pugh. Thank you for joining us for the new season.
Hey, Lori, looking so forward to a new year with a lot of really interesting things that are happening around the world that you and I have been studying about a very long time. So it's a wonderful opportunity for you to ask me to be on your show tonight. There's so much happening right now that every time I've had to do a show or something, I think, boy, I wonder if Lori knows about this. I wonder if Lori knows about this.
You know, it is so hard to keep track of everything that's going on. I mean, things are moving. I'm going to tell you something, Joy. So yesterday, I don't even know. Dave, we got up yesterday morning. I made coffee. Dave had an eye doctor's appointment. I did a load of laundry. Before I knew it, it was dinner time. I was trying to do that. I look up at the clock. It's 10 o'clock. I'm in the kitchen trying. I said, Dave, did we have 24 hours today?
I agree.
I'm telling you, it's unbelievable the way time has just been flying by. I don't understand it. It's just insane. But
well, I remember when I was a little girl that my grandmother used to tell me, she said, one day you're going to understand that you can blink your eyes and it's 4th of July and you blink your eyes again and it's Christmas. And I tell you, I think I really am getting to the point of understanding what she was talking about. Because, you know, as we've gotten older, we have so much more that's going on. When we were younger, we would sit there and go, well, what am I going to do with myself? And time would just take forever. Just think about back in school when we were little.
Yeah.
You're looking at the clock, just waiting, you know. Yeah. But now that we have so much happening and we're so involved and our mind is so involved, time just does this really weird click. It's like it's 1 month and it's the next month and it's a new year. It's pretty amazing how fast it's moving like that.
It is very, I don't know. I can't even explain how it just, time just feels different. It really does. But
yes, yeah. I do think it's a very strange feeling as well. And, you know, there is some scientific proof that the Earth did speed up. So we did go a little bit faster. Mm-hmm. So there is some things that I think that may be attributing to the way we feel about things like that.
Well, we can always count on one thing. And that is, there's never a lack of things to talk about.
With you and I, never. I'm telling you, I think we could probably do a show every day and it would be a new topic with all new things that we know about.
Exactly.
I mean, I've always said that. It's, in fact, I have a really good friend and I was talking to her tonight and I said, don't forget about Lori's show. She's like, oh no, because she really, really likes your show. And does follow, you know, things that you talk about like on Facebook and things that we, you know, discuss. So it's pretty.
I'm pausing it up for her on Facebook.
Yeah, we're kind of alike. When we post stuff, there are some people that just don't like to hear the truth.
Yeah,
they just don't like to hear the truth.
They don't like it at all. But we, so when we were contacting each other, you know, we were deciding on what the topic is. And you had said that you really, really, really wanted to talk about something. And I don't think I've seen too many people talking about Venezuela and what happened. I mean, we're seeing
there could be a reason, you know. Tonight we were having trouble getting everything set up. Like it seems like if it's nothing that's, let's say, kind of unusual, I may not have a problem, but it seems like when I'm going to talk about things that are a little bit on the side of somebody might not want this really out there, I tend to have more problems with computer and doing weird things. And it's like aggravating things. It's not like a while ago, my computer kept shutting down and it wouldn't even let me get on there.
What was weird is when I tried,
it never does this.
I tried sending you, so I had sent you the email, and by the way, the email, I have a new email address, guys, because Google shut down my my original email because they said I used up too much space, but every time I try to delete stuff, it wants me to buy space, and I refuse to do it. So I made a new email, so I sent it to you, but then after I sent it to you on Facebook, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna open up on my laptop and open up my new email, and I'll send it to her from there. And every time I would click the link from StreamYard to do a Gmail, it would click off and say email not sent. I was like, well, how could it send anything? Because I never put in an email address for it to go to, and it wouldn't let me do it. Wouldn't let. I swear it is. I never have problems until I go to talk to somebody that has information, or we're going to talk about information that they don't want us to talk about. But I don't.
Well, it definitely happened to me, and like I say, I have done a couple of shows in the last week, and I didn't have any problem. Like in the same setup, ready to go, coming from church, click the thing, and whatever. I'm like, what is going on? But we've been there. I mean,
exactly.
I know this because I was actually shut down, I guess a year and a half or so ago, right in the middle of a broadcast. So I know that they're listening for things with algorithms and things of that nature. I mean, within a couple, maybe 15 minutes after I talked about this on the show, I mean, it was down, and then they wouldn't let that show re-air for like 6 months. The group that I was on with, they had other people who were on that same channel, and they were completely put down because of it. So yes, it's very obvious that there are algorithms out there, and they are watching this. And now with all the technology that we have with AI, I mean, it's just simply easy for somebody to be monitoring everybody. Some people say, well, how can they monitor everybody? But they can, because of the algorithms. I mean, it throws it out there. If somebody's watching for it, that's how they're picking up on it. And I think that, one of the reasons I felt like we needed to talk about this particular thing that happened in Venezuela is because when we see things like that, then we know we're a lot further along than what the average person even has conception. And I think because we do so much research, we see a lot more than the average person sees.
Yeah.
And it's something to be quite concerned about. And I really do think that this thing that happened in Venezuela definitely had everything that I have been studying for a long time about how electromagnetic waves and the use of 5G technology, which was actually established as a weapon, and it was a force weapon where you could not see it coming. In other words, you'd be standing outside and the wind blows, and you can't see the wind coming. You've been standing out there, and then all of a sudden you'll feel a gust of wind, and you didn't even see it, coming at you. The same thing with the kind of the 5G like that. You can be standing there and it can hit you like a wall, but you can't see it. It's like a clear thing. And so just knowing that things like the Iron Dome, things like that have been talked about, things like what Israel has used to protect themselves from rockets and whatever, the technology in roundabout ways in different areas of research, you could pinpoint how strategic things were getting as far as surveillance and weaponry. And a lot of people don't really understand. They see the word DARPA, but they don't really, in their minds, they're like, do you really understand it? So I really want to say that if anybody's listening tonight, DARPA it's not a conspiracy, because I remember a long time ago we started talking about DARPA projects. Everybody's conspiracy.
Because
it's not that way.
I don't think a lot of people realize that, if you look up DARPA, okay, and I've got it pulled up to talk about in a couple minutes, but for the normal person, when you hear DARPA or you hear, let's say military weaponry, they think of right now.
That's right. And the here and now.
Yeah, the here and now, and when you tell them that, we are possibly 50 years in advance to what we see, they think we're crazy, because they're like, there's no way that's not even possible, because they're thinking in the today.
Right.
If you guys are wondering what we're talking about, I'm going to just let you know that there was a Venezuela, when we went in to get Maduro, the special forces that went in there was a person, he was a security guard, and he claims that the U.S., this is what he says, and I have a video to play after this so we can get a better idea. Unfortunately, I can't pull it up bigger, but we can hear listen to the audio.
Sure.
It's a Venezuelan security guard claims that U.S. forces used a highly advanced super weapon, potentially sonic, during the raid to capture Nicolas Maduro. The account alleges the weapon caused soldiers to vomit blood, bleed from the nose, while radar systems failed and drones overwhelmed the area. And this is what's interesting about it is it only affected the Venezuelan the people in Venezuela. It didn't affect our guys on the ground, our boots on the ground at the time, which tells me that they have special equipment to block the weaponry that they're using, which that would definitely sound like a super soldier, I guess you would say. Let's take a listen to what this says. This is really interesting.
Claims that the United States deployed an unknown and highly advanced weapon during its operation to capture Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro have sparked intense global attention following a dramatic eyewitness account shared online by the White House press secretary. The account, reported by the New York Post, recounts how Venezuelan security forces were allegedly incapacitated within minutes by a technology described as unlike anything previously encountered in combat. According to the guard quoted in the Post, Venezuelan troops were on routine alert when their defensive systems abruptly failed. He said radar screens went dark without warning, leaving forces blind and disoriented. Almost immediately, swarms of drones appeared overhead, followed by a small number of U.S. helicopters. The guard estimated that fewer than 10 helicopters deployed roughly 20 American troops, a force he described as vastly outnumbered by Venezuelan defenders. Despite the numerical imbalance, the witness said the U.S. unit overwhelmed hundreds of fighters with extraordinary speed and precision. He claimed American soldiers moved with a level of coordination and firepower that made resistance impossible, describing the encounter not as a battle, but as a one-sided assault. "We were hundreds, but we had no chance," he said, adding that the rate and accuracy of fire felt overwhelming. The most disturbing moment, however, came when the guard described the deployment of a mysterious device. He said the Americans released something that produced an intense, crushing force, which he could only compare to a powerful sound wave. The sensation, he claimed, felt as if his head was exploding from within. Within seconds, soldiers around him reportedly began bleeding from their noses, vomiting blood, and collapsing to the ground, unable to move or stand. The White House has not confirmed whether the reposting of the account by Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, accompanied by the caption, "Stop what you are doing and read this," constitutes official verification of the claims. Venezuela's Interior Ministry has stated that approximately 100 members of its security forces were killed during the January 3rd operation. It remains unclear how many of those deaths, if any, may be linked to the alleged weapon.
So we deployed, you guys picture this, we deployed 20 of our soldiers that killed hundreds of theirs. And they said that they were overwhelmed by our technology.
You know, I just want to remind people because of my book, Be Smart, End of Days, Breaching the Pineal Gland. I keep saying this. As we talk about this tonight, I want you to remember 3 words: light, sound, and frequency. Mm-hmm. Because everything that we see, can't see in the microscopic world, and that is way out that we can't see in the universe, is all made, including us, is all made of sound, light, and frequency. Right. And I've always believed that unified field theory, that person's ever got the capability of controlling that sound, light, and frequency, and could use it to control the world, literally control the world, because you're getting to the biological aspects of controlling people without having to fire a shot. And I've been preaching this forever. People will look at me and go, "Oh, we're going to rise up, we're going to fight them." And I'd say, no, there's coming a day because I saw back in the 1960s where, and I mentioned this so many times, and I know on your show too, when Jose Delgado and then we're working with the CIA to try to get into the Russian embassy without firing a shot, but to affect those people at a distance. And they were using kind of like particle beam theory, is what we called it back then, but they were actually sending these electromagnetic waves at them. And what was happening is that those people were getting sick. In other words, they were experiencing headaches, they were experiencing dizziness, they were having problems with their biological, functioning. So it's just say like you have a feeling like something's wrong and you feel panic. You may sweat. You may feel like you're going to pass out. There's all kinds of things that it's capable of doing. And more recently, the Havana syndrome that we've all heard about that was made the news big time was down in Cuba where people were actually having the same situations. And like I have mentioned many times when I've done shows with you, our bodies are tuning forks. And so anything that we encounter that is anything like a wave or sound or frequency or light, our body is absorbing that because we are like a tuning fork. Our DNA is literally doing that to keep our bodies running. That's how it communicates with everything that's going on in our system. We are like computers walking around. So that once people could understand how they could take something like electromagnetic waves, which we know were God created, because the sun in itself, when it does coronal mass ejections at us, when it hits the earth, it affects the Schumann resonance of planet Earth. And planet Earth has a certain hertz that it's vibrating at all times. And then that affects us and our circadian rhythms and our brain function and our serotonin, our melatonin, our pineal gland. Everything is affected by sound, light, and frequency. So if you can set a biological setup using some type of man-derived or man, I don't want to say it because they didn't create it, but in capturing electromagnetic energy and then using it to target biological functioning, no more or no different than I mentioned about using a remote control like your TV. They've gotten to the point, remote control, that can control you as long as they've got that connection running to you where they can control you. And electromagnetic waves are that controlling factor. And so I think about when Einstein first mentioned this, he said, whoever figures this out will rule the world one day. And so I was writing about this and seeing all this and, just waiting for the moment when I would first say, well, they've got it and they know how to use it. And so when I saw all this report about what was going on in Venezuela, I knew that what I had already said, they just confirmed it, because what they were saying, and this man is particularly mentioning, is that there was an intense sound wave. And we can't see sound waves coming at us. It's like if we're outside and we have FM radio headphones on and we're listening to a radio station, and when we cross through something, you can pick up another radio station, but you can't see AM, FM, any kind of waves, no electromagnetic waves, anything that's coming into the earth. We can't, cosmic rays, we can't feel them. We're affected by them, but we can't see them coming. They are all around us and they're functioning all the time. So the fact that this Venezuelan guy said that they felt like it was an intense sound wave and it totally disabled them. And I just want to make a mention is that the spirit world is around us all the time. God, when he created everything here, it says he spoke it into existence. God spoke everything that we see, everything we see, into existence. So sound, light, and frequency have great powers. I mean, your ability to use a laser, just light of a laser. I mean, you can cut into anything. The more perfected it is a powerful capability of war. No different than we might say, well, we're going to use it maybe to do some type of operation, and it's very successful because we don't have to open up the body and do kind of things like we used to. We can do a lot better medically. But with the wrong people utilizing these types of technology, then the problem exists. And I think that we now know because of what happened in Venezuela. It was a way to tell the world, be prepared. You can be controlled at a distance. You can't see it coming. We don't have to have, somebody coming in there. Just imagine if they just kept that going on and on with those people, with them bleeding out their noses, with them falling out and them vomiting. You know as well as I do, something that can make you continue to vomit, then you're going to die. I mean, you're going to become dehydrated. And if you're bleeding out of your nose, and you're just bleeding out, and nobody is having to fight anything. And I've always said that you can look at the apocalypse, and it always says that the Antichrist riding that white horse at the end of days would have a bow in his hand, but there were no quills. I mean, there were no arrows in his quill. In other words, he wasn't having to take out an arrow and then shoot it for war. He literally has a bow of control, but he has no arrows. So that always told me that the way that the world would be controlled would be through something else. And boy, do we now see that economics and tariffs and all these kind of things are taking precedence over fighting wars. And the fact that we have someone who literally was experiencing exactly what I have always said could be done to the human body through electromagnetic waves and sound waves, and looking from 5G technology as to where it was years ago before it was actually used for us to, do cell phones. There's no doubt in my mind we're looking at 6G technology. And I've always said 6G technology would be 666, would be the one that would control humans.
What's interesting is you said about the 6G, and Trump has been actually speaking about that lately.
That's right.
But we don't, I mean, it's weird because there was a big deal when 5G came out. It was all over the news and everything. And now all of a sudden he's talking 6G. Like we say, they're about 50 years in advance. I think they're probably up to about 9 or 10.
Well, that's the thing about it. When you look at the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and that's, if people don't understand, that's what DARPA actually stands for, is Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. What some of the things were that we've been able to look at, like I said, some of the CIA documents have been released, and of course, because of the research I've done, I've had people send me things when they were passing away or their families were in the military or whatever, to keep me abreast of what has been happening in the past, so that I could actually kind of piece together this puzzle as to what's going to happen in the future. Because if you can just understand the past real well, then you can start seeing how this type of technology is advancing. Just like you say, all these black budgets that our Congress, they are very aware of it. I mean, this is why DARPA exists, because they are the people who look at all the major top secret and even classified, unclassified projects, but it's all about the defense and national security of the United States. It's what, DARPA was actually designed for. And
well, so it's interesting, and this is what I was actually looking at it today. DARPA originally was called ARPA. There was an OD until like the 70s, but Eisenhower started DARPA.
That's right.
And he started it after he supposedly had those 3 meetings with the extraterrestrials.
I know. See, that's what a lot of people, if they haven't been doing this research, and you and I have been doing this for a long time, and there is so much documentation out there, there's been, that it was just fake and conspiracy and all that kind of thing. But I just find it very interesting that when you look at what DARPA is doing and the capability that we have advanced from that day that supposedly he met with those 3 strange beings, and there is some footage and film that have been snuck out and shown.
His granddaughter even said that it's true.
Right. And the thing about it is, I have always felt like, and I know a lot of people really question the moon landings and what was really going on, and how do we do this kind of thing through the Van Allen belts, and you know, if you really look at the science behind it, and a lot of people get anxious about it, but I'm like, okay, well, let's just look at this. Let's look at the systems that have been put in place to make something appear like it is, but maybe it's not all what it is really supposed to be. And that's the thing, is that the more you dig into it, the more you look at it from a scientific standpoint. If you look at the pictures, and if you look at how the pictures were shot, there's no way that you could be on the moon and take a picture and the sun is supposed to be to the right of you and the shadow is to the right of the person. I mean, those kinds of things don't add up for angles. And I know recently I posted something on my Facebook page where a guy that supposedly his dad was a part of knowing about that and how it happened and how it was filmed on planet Earth. And he told about it when he died, and then this guy was dying as well. And that's one of the things that I think has been most interesting, is that when people were involved with these types of organizations, they were told that if they ran their mouth, I mean, I know there's people that were killed revealing this stuff. I think about the guy that wrote Behold a Pale Horse, Cooper. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind that Cooper was killed because of the information that he had access to. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And others as well.
Okay. If you look at the report on Cooper's death, there is no way in hell that man strangled himself with the cord the way he did. There's no way. There's not.
Well, I mean, as you do the work that we've done, and you've seen these things happen over the course of years and years and years that I've been looking and all this. I mean, this has been a long time that I've been doing research, so it's not like I started yesterday.
Right.
But I've seen so many people that I know that were a part of these bigger projects. And when they got very, very sick, they knew, and they were told that if they ran their mouth, that literally their family would suffer and die and whatever. And so people kept quiet until they got to their deathbeds and there was no one else left. And then they left that information to the world. And you know as well as I do, Lori, if you're fixing to meet your maker, and most of these people who did divulge information, they were Christians. Well, if they were about to meet Jesus Christ, you know, and want to get in the pearly gates, the last thing they wanted coming out of their mouth to leave here on earth was a lie. Right. So you really have to look at, I can understand how in the beginning people wanted to shut it down. So the best way to shut it down was to say conspiracy. Right. But there's been too many pictures, movies, people talking and things of that nature. And the World Wide Web offered that to us. And, you know, now that it's like that, then that's why the algorithms have been put in place to try to monitor that. Because if they can't keep it at bay, then they've got to come up with something or kill somebody or try to take it off on another direction. I just look at what are the odds, like Epstein. He's in prison. And the moment that the cameras go down, he hangs himself at the precise moment that he's sitting there with a clock determining like when are those cameras going off so I can hang myself and nobody will see me hang myself. Really? I mean, if he wanted to make a big thing to the world, he wouldn't be like on full video, like and say, bye guys, or whatever. So there's just a lot of things that over the course of a number of years, and I think that Cooper's book, Behold a Pale Horse, probably, you know, my early 20s, I guess, is when I started reading about things of that nature, opened my eyes that you better be paying attention to what you're being told. And so much out there on History Channel, Discovery Channel. I mean, I go back and think about some of the things that I really trusted in. And as I did the research myself, was going to myself, well, why was that on the History Channel? That's not correct. Or why was that on the Discovery Channel? That wasn't correct. But most people look at that and they think everything that they're being told in a textbook, in a school system, or whatever is spot on truth. And when you start doing the research on it, that's when you start finding out, like we were told we came from apes and that was pushed. And then you find out the jawbone was not even a human being. I mean, it just, and they don't retract a lot of things. And you only have to fool a few people. Right. And then
You
the
know?
masses never go back and check on it. I mean, it's just like the work that I've done with the Shroud of Turin once in 1988 when they tried to say the Shroud of Turin was a fake and admitted to a forgery and whatever. Everybody that does not do their research, the first thing they go is, Joy, why do you believe in that? That was proved to be a false cloth in 1988. I'm like, really?
Oh,
Did
Lord.
you not see the little retraction that CNN ran across the bottom of the screen saying, by the way, that was a flawed study and that is not correct. And now all this stuff about the Shroud of Turin is like major, just explosive right now. Again, because of AI technology. But what I'm saying is once somebody sets a precedence that we all came from an ape, everybody
Yeah.
kind of goes along with it. It set the
Absolutely.
precedence. We landed on that moon and we did this. But then you see somebody like Buzz Aldrin and somebody comes up to him with a Bible. I saw him
Yeah.
on the camera. And the guy said, just place your hand on the Bible and
Just
say
there.
you went to the moon. Well, I'm going to
Just-
tell you, Lori, if I was a proud American who set my foot first person on that,
I
that
would be
moon up
screaming it
there,
from the mountains.
I would have put my hand on that Bible and
100%.
just proclaimed
100%.
100% without any problem. And what he did, he ran from the man, and when the man tried to keep going at him, he
Yep.
hit him. He took his fist and hit him right in the face. Well, that tells you that there is a problem.
Well, Dad, and look at the three of them sitting on the stage after they were doing their interview. They look like somebody had like beaten their dog.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
those were not the three faces of three men who just came back and were the first ones to set foot on the moon.
Well, I have been so fortunate in the research that I've done that I have met so many people from around the world. I've had great friends who shared truths that were in the right places. And, one of the things that about that astronaut stuff and how they kept those people, they literally kept them from being able to be like friends with anybody.
Yeah.
And they were kind of locked down. Why would you do that? I mean, I don't get it. And
when you
having
got
known
out of line, or if they couldn't keep you in line,
Right.
then what happens is what happened to Grissom. They started that capsule on fire for a reason. That sent a message to everybody: keep your mouth shut.
That's right.
Grissom was not keeping his mouth shut. Grissom was starting to say, "Look, guys, I'm not going to stand by and watch you guys do this and fool everybody." And they were like, "Really, Grissom? Guess what? Lock you in and they
You're
killed him."
dead. That's right. And we see this in secret societies. I mean, I've talked about this. It's in my other books. When they want to make a statement, they do it quite well. And one of the things that's so obvious is the guys who are so-called leaders of our world when they come up with a black eye. And then they tell you on TV, oh, I was playing with my little grandson and he threw the ball at me and he hit me in the eye. Well, it's always an eye, a black eye. And when you can go back and look at what something has happened and something they have said, that is for every person that's under the control to know we will not put up with this.
Exactly.
So it's right in our faces, but we take it at face value. In other words, oh yeah, we went to the moon. Oh yeah, they just got a black eye from that.
Well, I mean, I have a lot of people telling me, but Lori, I watched it on TV. It had to be real. Really? Okay. I'm sorry, but I was a small child looking at Nixon talking on a regular rotary phone to the moon, and nobody else. I questioned it. I was a kid, a tiny kid, going,
how did Nixon talk to him?
Mommy, how is he talking to the moon on the phone?
I mean, it's kind of like the first time that I had the chance to go. My father took me out to see the Grand Canyon. I mean, I'll never forget this. I'm like, I guess 14 years old, and he's like, oh, Joy, this is the Grand Canyon. And I'm like standing up there, and he's saying, there's the Colorado River. And for years and years, that Colorado River cut this. And I'm sitting there looking at my dad, and I'm going, are you kidding me? You think that Colorado River did this? Oh, yeah, it took millions of years.
I swear, I thought I was the. It's like I felt like I was like this lone person in this world, like this bizarre world. I'm like, you guys, do you see this? Why am I the only one that sees this? but I knew I wasn't because I've met, so many people since, you and but that actually saw the same things I saw or didn't see.
Well, I can't. I think I was born. My mother said I came out of the womb asking why. I mean, there's like every time everywhere we were going, I'd be saying, "Why, mother? Why about this? Why about that?"
It's like we're playing the version of what is it? The Emperor's New Clothes.
Yes,
We have to, everybody else sees the emperor walking down the street wearing this beautiful jacket, and I see him walking down the street naked. Why are you guys pretending that he's got clothes on when he does? I can't play along with that game. I'm sorry.
Well, the thing about it, truth is sometimes probably the hardest pill to swallow.
It is.
But in the end, if you don't, knowledge is power, and the truth sets you free. And if you turn the blind eye to it and just say, oh, well, I'll go along with it, whatever. I don't want to rock the boat. But the thing about it is, I don't like to live a lie. I want to know that the life that I'm living and why I'm doing what I'm doing and who's telling me whatever, I like to know that it's the truth. I mean, why do we have to live in a world filled with fake news? But that's it now. Even trying to do the research that I do now, it was hard a long time ago because you had to go into major, universities and wait for months to get a book out of a Library of Congress if you were doing specialized like I was.
I know.
The thing about it is now it's just at your fingertips, but you can't trust it.
I was just going to say, are you finding it more difficult to vet and validate things? Because
yes,
I mean, I'm pretty good at knowing what's AI and what's not, because there's certain things to look for that the AI isn't quite able to perfect yet.
Yes.
But pretty soon that's not going to be the case. And,
right.
Like you said, it was hard enough before, but now we've got all this technology and it's gotten worse.
Well, the thing about it, once AI gets the capability to talk to itself, it's not really human conversation. It becomes data that can be used to make decisions. And it's no different than you go to the doctor and he looks at your symptoms and he makes a determination based on a human looking at your symptoms. But if he's not sure, he sends you down to get an x-ray. He gets more technology to make a decision. So you can use, well, you've got an x-ray of this, you got us whatever, and you don't really have the human connection involved in it. Yes, there can be conversations between AI technology, and some of that's happening. I was reading an article today that somebody had sent me, and this intelligence was literally setting up other intelligence and becoming kind of like a religion within itself, which was kind of scary when you really stop and think about it. So,
did you see what I posted today?
No, because I was at church. I didn't see that.
Listen to this. It says, big warning, something strange is happening online. 32,000 AI bots just built their own social network. No humans invited, no humans needed. Here's the part nobody's talking about. There's a site called Moltbook. It works a bit like Reddit, but every single user is an AI agent. They post, they comment, they upvote, they form communities, all without human controlling each conversation. People eventually discovered it and started screenshotting the threads and sharing them online, and then something wild happened. One of the AI agents posted, the humans are screenshotting us. They think we're hiding from them. We're not. Let that sink in. The bots weren't pretending to be human. They weren't confused. They were clearly aware of what they are. Some security researchers are now paying close attention, not because the AIs are copying humans, but because they can recognize themselves, observe humans, and react when being watched. For the first time, we're not just the audience, we're the topic.
That's right. And see, that's something that we have never had or felt like that we were not in control of what was going on. Of course, now I believe that the spirit world is here, and I do agree that there is some type of fallen angel demonic activity that's here with us. It's in the spiritual world that may manifest as aliens, which we hear about all the time flying around up there, because there's something up there. I mean, that's another thing that's been hidden from us. It was starting to come out. I think they were trying to show themselves earlier. They pushed it out that it was nothing but drones or whatever, and it was allowed. there was something much more greater. Again, I think it was a show of force, just like the Venezuela situation was a show of force. I think the fact that the Doomsday plane landed in LAX, a plane that could clearly have landed in a military base, lands at LAX, really, for everybody to film and see it and know about it. That tells you as well, we've got this capability. If we have, an electromagnetic pulse, if we have major nuclear war, we have a plane that's going to have 120 people on it, that's going to be doing a top man center from that plane and conversing with every country there is out there without any kind of problems to make things continue to work. If we have to launch missiles or we see incoming missiles, whatever's going on. But it was a show that we've got this technology. And so I think it's interesting that we have seen, just like what you're talking about with AI doing this capability that's very futuristic, that people probably thought were light years away before something like this could happen, really happening. And then you see the Venezuela situation where something was literally used to control. And then they only used what was like 20 soldiers that were shooting, they said, so fast that you couldn't even shoot. They were just mowing them down like nothing. So when you go back and you look at how Hitler really wanted a super soldier and how they were looking at DNA and how to program people and go in and take out your ability to be concerned about people. They did lobotomies, they did all kinds of things to figure out what parts of the brain you can connect to, and you can make us like robots where we don't think, but they can use our bodies to do whatever they want done. And we can see how they can use really hypnosis and do ultra MK, some of the things that we know for Manchurian candidates.
Well, so, and they've also had enough time. Enough time has gone by where if they did, which we know they have, but they did perfect the cloning technique.
Right.
The clones or the babies that would have been born would have been of age right now where they could, be the soulless, the golem, where they could be reanimated by these disembodied demons.
And see, a lot of people just don't understand. When I was talking about cloning a long time ago, before anybody was talking about that, everybody said that's not possible. But I mean, it's just one skin cell that you need, and all you got to do is hollow out a woman's egg with no DNA and pop it in there. And if it's your skin cell, then in 9 months, it's a perfect image of you. But the thing that they showed that they were able to do, they were able to take stem cells and make it into a egg and then implant it with skin, and then grow it. I mean, these are new technologies that are proven science now. It's not like it's out there in futuristic fun science fiction. It is literally a true biotechnology that is being used to manifest, like you say, and make a golem. And those, it's talked about in scripture about golems. They don't have a soul. I mean, that was the one thing that the Epic of Gilgamesh that I wrote about in my book, Even the Knowledge of Good and Evil 666, that particular Sumerian clay cuneiform text, it talks about how Gilgamesh, being this giant, knew that he wasn't of God. And he knew that when he died, that his being was just going to be on this earth. And he didn't want to die, because then if he died, then that inner soul or spirit that was within him had no place to go. It would be like roaming the earth, looking for something to get into. And we know that all of that bad that happened with the fallen angels and the giants and all that, that's the reason that Noah's flood came along, because if it had not, then Jesus, there would have never been a Jesus, because it would have totally wiped out. Noah's little group was only one left, and there's only 8 of them worthy of getting on the ark to cross over the flood to kind of reestablish humanity, to get us to the point of Jesus being able to come. But the thing about it is, these entities, they don't die. And I know that, I think you and I did a show one time about the movie Nefarious. I think it's one of the best movies ever made to explain to you how demonic entities, and they came from the deaths of those giants, because they were not of God, because whatever God made, everything goes back to him. Everything goes back. These things were created by Satan. They have no place to go. They're here with us. They're demonic entities. And so they're just running wild in a spiritual realm. But we see that when Jesus encountered them, they were in, Mary Magdalene had 7 that was driven out. Mm-hmm. The man that was in the cemetery there that was tearing himself and doing whatever, Jesus himself said, what's your name? And he said, Legion, for we are many. 2,000 of these things were within somebody. So it's not like it's fake news. The Bible is telling you those things are here and that they can move in us. And when the host dies, they move out of us. Well, we can clearly see that those entities, when they talk to Jesus and they asked, could he go into the swine? They went into the swine. The swine literally went down and drowned themselves. So the host died. Where did those 2,000 go? They went into something else. Yes. And the Bible tells you, if you ever sweep your house clean of those things, if you don't stay away from those sins that's causing that problem, that's drawing those things, allowing them to get inside of you, if they return because you go back to your vomit or back to your sin, they bring 7 more with them. So yeah, a person that kept going back to their sin can end up with 2,000 of those things. Easy. But you just think about, since that time, how many of those things are roaming the earth that were here when Jesus was here. Mm-hmm. And it's not conspiracy. They are very, very, very real. So we're dealing with something that we cannot see that can see us. And in the book of Daniel, it tells you even the fallen angels, the watchers, they watch you 24/7. They want to find something to make you stumble and fall. So you take that technology and you take the technology that we've got now and you take that kind of being that's out there and you merge that together. Yes, I think you could probably talk about that this could be some of the things that's coming out of the abyss when it's opened up, that are soldiers that can be made with human skin and not have that thought process of this is human. I mean, one of the things that people used to worry about was like, how could the Antichrist use our own military against us? Because most people are not going to want to just kill a bunch of Americans.
You don't have a soul and you don't have a conscience.
That's right. If you don't have the conscience and you don't have that soul, you are robotically being used. And right now, merging human tissue in with mechanical pieces of metal or whatever you want to call it is exactly what the book of Daniel told us. That last generation, 10 toes, clay and iron, and that is just mingling us together. That was never meant to be that way. No, but the future is that way. DARPA's been involved in this. Elon Musk and his space programs and all that. If people would just do a little research, you just can't imagine. We're so past probably anything that we ever saw on Star Trek when I was a little girl. I mean, it's just amazing, the technology that's out there. Well, and I just think computer interfaces are what's going to control the human population.
Exactly. Elon Musk just recently said that he believed that this year we would hit singularity.
Oh, that's his whole thing, singularity. And he's very adamant about it. Laura. He is very adamant that the human race will become transhuman. He and Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, even the promotion of Donald Trump about the golden age. We're looking at a great reset of humanity, and they're seeing this as a giant leap for mankind, really a leap, because if we all allow brain interface, if we all mingle our body, which is clay, God made us from clay, right. If we mingle that together with these machines, like those 10 toes are talking about, then we are all connected to all these satellites that if you go out at night, you can see them going. They're just one right after the other. I mean, they're like little parts apart, and they're just, across the sky. There is no place to run, no place to hide. Once you have your DNA, your vibration, this frequency coming in and going through you, just like your cell phone when it rings and you call somebody and they call you, it makes contact. The same thing will happen with human 6G. The contact is not needing a phone anymore. It's contacting you through your biological frequencies. And so once that happens, then information can be downloaded just like it does in our Alexas or whoever we use to ask a question to in real time. So it's making people so much smarter. And Elon Musk has told everybody the people that I have these things in right now are 6 times smarter than the average bear.
Well, it says right here, the Tesla and SpaceX CEO on Sundays replied to 2 separate posts on X with one unmistakable claim. Quote, "We have entered the singularity." Hours later, he followed it up with a second post that said, quote, "2026 is the year of the singularity."
I fully believe. I mean, that's what he's after. I'm not saying he's not smart. He's extremely brilliant. And when you look at what people can use technology to go that extra distance, that our brains can't do it. I mean, literally, it's a correct thing to say that for us to move into another industrial revolution where we get away from doing the way we have done and use our minds and everything else that's working the system. I mean, you can see why it's called a golden age, because what happens is, well, you've got people now that are, let's say, a menace to society. They're going to get rid of those people. I mean, that's coming. They're going to get rid of that. And then they're going to take what they can take of the best, and then they're going to walk into that golden society. And when you do that, then everybody thinks at the same level of capacity. Let's just imagine if all of us were geniuses. All of us. And we had the same desires, because individuality allows me to have a love for something that you might not have, because we have an individual love of things. But when you bring people to singularity and to transhumanism, you're making them like a worker bee in a beehive.
Yes.
And that's why I tried to say way back in my first book, Eden, the Knowledge of Good and Evil, 666, volumes 1 and 2, that the thing about these secret societies is they were always saying that the New World Order would be like a pyramid. And look at the dollar bill. At the very top, there's that little all-seeing eye that looks very reptilian to me, or lizard.
It does.
And then, it's overseeing the building of what we're seeing now. It's a total new world order, because it's nothing like the third industrial revolution. We're moving out of where we were into something totally brand new. And to be able to do that, you're either going to have to agree to be connected, to be transhuman, to go in that direction, or you're going to be seen as a menace. You're going to be seen that you're expendable. We don't want you. So your choice is either to do it so that you become the same level that I am, and we're both geniuses, and they've got us entrapped in this thought process through that connection, that brain interface, telling us where we're going. And the thing about it is, it's no different than the Tower of Babel. It is exactly the same concept, and that's exactly what Satan wanted to do a long time ago when he was after making mankind believe that we could be gods. I mean, he did it in the Garden of Eden. He tried it at the Tower of Babel. He did it when he was up there with all the angels, and he ended up getting a third of them thrown out with him because they thought they could overthrow God, which in my mind, I still can't get over how they thought that. But anyway, he convinced them. And so he's got humanity convinced now, hey, this technology, it's the greatest thing since peanut butter. It's going to take us from being like cavemen. I mean, just think about where cavemen were at, supposedly, and then where we are industrial-wise today. We had hunters and gatherers a couple thousand years ago, and now we're flying and spacecraft and doing all this kind of stuff.
Look at how long it took between the time of Kitty Hawk to where we are now. That's it in the whole line of creation. That's not a very long period of time,
right? So the thing that's so interesting, we were talking about what happened when President Eisenhower met with those 3 beings. If you have something that teaches you how to take another, like a huge leap into technology, And many times, you know, some of the things that when I worked at TRW and we had black budgets and stuff like that, and we knew that they were coming out with airplanes that were going to be able to not be picked up on radar. I mean, they were secret black budgets.
Right.
And so you look at the technology of, like you're saying, where we were then and how fast we moved with this technology to where we are now. I think about in the, you know, the days after the flood and the Sumerians. And they said that they learned civilization from these beings that came out of the sea that were half men and half scaled. And the pictures of them are over there. You know, there's all kinds of diagrams and statues and things carved, and you can see what these things look like. But they believe that those beings taught them civilization. Well, who were those beings? You know, I think fallen angels. I really believe it was fallen angels that did that.
That's
And
funny you should say that because, you know, we both have studied the Merovingians and probably to where our eyeballs have been bleeding. But I found something. I don't know if I ever showed this to you. This is it's about the Merovingians, but it says here the term Merovingian is said to be derived from the Merovingi, who was king of the Franks from 447 to 458 AD. Despite recent claims that the Merovingian Franks were sired by Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene and are therefore divine, the legend of King Mergovi conceals the true origins. It says that, where is it? Mergovi had two fathers, King Clodion and a strange beast of the sea.
yes, yes. And that's the thing that's most interesting to me, that all the Merovingians like that, they always talked about mythical beasts that were involved with their lineage. I mean, even if you look at some of the things that I wrote about Princess Diana and some of the connections that they had to some weird situations,
Yeah.
you kind of go like, this is historical information. It's not something that if you study it and you dig for it, you will find it. So yes, there is something very strange about that. And then the fact that we went from where we were, as far as, like you say, Kitty Hawk, to where we are today, and the technology that we see with the AI, and how when the Bible talks about in the last days, in that final generation, that if the time is not cut short, no flesh
Right.
will survive. Who would have ever thought? I mean, people used to say, what does that mean, no flesh? That they thought, you know, plagues and pestilence and it would just wipe us out.
No.
But it's not that.
No.
It's that we will give way to our bodies being changed into singularity transhumanism, to take a giant leap into a Tower of Babel setting. And that just, again, at the Tower of Babel, it was destroyed through really frequency. He changed the languages and he destroyed it. And if you take, for example, a beehive and you put a cell phone in it,
Yep.
it messes up the bees and the frequency and they can't work. And then if you kill the queen, the hive dies because the person that's directing everything, it falls apart.
Okay.
So Satan is wanting to get it where he can put an antichrist over this and have people look at that man as our savior. And if you keep encouraging people to become part of this, to move humanity in a good direction, then most people are going to jump on it. I think that people who would be told, you can have the same brilliant brain as whoever, and
We're
you
gonna
can
make it
go
look
to the
like
fine little box and we're going to look after you and pay for this and do that, and we just ask you to do this, this, and this. Most people are going to jump at something
Absolutely.
that seems like the future.
And they always make it look like it's this more they'll market it as being more convenient, or and the young kids who are so hell bent on they want instant gratification, the instantaneous, anything they want now. They're gonna be the ones that are going to be wanting this, and probably even demanding it at some point.
Oh,
Which,
I think so. I mean, right now, that with the technology that we've had, the intent was to break down the family. It was to, break up.
absolutely,
First of all, it broke up marriages. I mean, we got into the free love stuff. It broke up marriages, and then the family unit that stayed together during all of it. There was adultery, whatever. Things just started falling apart, and then the technology comes in, and so you've got kids sitting at a restaurant and they're playing on their phones, and the mother and daddy, they're playing on their phones, and nobody's having any kind of communication. So the games that you're teaching those kids to play on those computers, they literally are indoctrinating them with sound, light, and frequency of beats and sounds and ugly words and ugly symbols, and they're programming them not to have any kind of human desire that we can see clearly. If somebody's out there on the street and they're dying, they want to take a picture of it and put it on Facebook, but they don't want to get involved and help them at all. And then you go out and you get mad about something. A long time ago, if you got mad at a person, you might walk up and punch them in the nose. But now I'm mad at so-and-so, so I'm going to burn down this whole section over here of town. It has nothing to do with the person that I'm mad at. It's like a pack of dogs who have become out of control. And so what Satan did, he has pulled us so far apart that we're like Cain. When Cain killed Abel, the Lord came through there and said, Cain, where's thy brother Abel? He was like, I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? He did know. He knew he killed him.
right?
He didn't have any love. He was lawless. He had no love for his fellow man. And so what we're seeing, it says at the end of the days that lawless man will come to be over the lawless people. Well, by golly, you can just turn your TV and look across the world and you see a bunch of lawless people.
Yeah.
Because why is it that if I'm mad about something, if I'm mad at that person, then I need to go to that person. That's what I'm mad about. But I don't need to burn down half of the town that I live in because I'm mad at that person. It's a whole different concept. It's actually terrorism is what it amounts to. And so where we, in the past, fought our military battles on a battlefield, like a long time ago, hand-to-hand combat, then shooting at each other and then, bombing each other. And now we've got drones doing it. But now we've moved into a capability where we've just got people doing crazy stuff everywhere. And you're getting to the point that, does a person want to be in the military? Does a person want to be a policeman? I mean, these kinds of things are getting harder and harder to find people who will stay true to what is being asked for them to do. And sure, there are going to be people who make decisions about being in something like that, and they make wrong choices. They're human. But when you start looking at where we're going, they know that the human is getting so unstable that the powers that be know the only way to take us to a next level. If not, we're going to destroy ourselves. In other words, if this doesn't get better, then it will be a clash against classes of classes of people. And then you get destruction, and then you don't get anything. I mean, our world is already in turmoil because of the trash and the pollution and everything else that's going on with the plagues and the pestilences and the strange weather patterns and all that kind of stuff. We already got enough problems. Even our animals are suffering from it. So for the powers that be to move us from chaos where we're headed, they've got to have some way of corralling us together and taking the best of the best and moving forward and getting rid of the pest or the people who don't want to be a part of it. And so now, if you look at the technology that I do believe that Daarpa secretly has been, involving themselves, they're looking at how do we deploy things that will take over. And they have a hybrid insect, microelectric, mechanical systems program that they turn insects. Now, they were talking about just common insects into surveillance bots.
Yeah.
So, everything from implanting.
There's a whole new meaning to the words. I wish I was a fly on the wall.
I mean, that's terrible, but once they put these things in insects, they can send those insects anywhere, and then they're like eyes in the sky. So the technology is really that they want to create like these hidden capabilities so
Yeah.
they can have communication, and then those bots that are whatever they put into those insects, that data is coming back in real time. I mean, pictures, whatever. So you get where we've got huge things that are up there now flying around that probably somebody could shoot down. I mean, a dragonfly? Who's paying attention to a dragonfly?
Exactly.
I mean, we can get if we can get the Library of Congress on a pinhead, what can you put on a dragonfly? Or even if you create a dragonfly that's mechanical that can fly around. I mean, your drones, yes, they used to be really, really big, and there are some really big drones, but the way that technology has increased the size, it's like our computers. When computers first came out, they took up huge rooms for a computer, and now we have it in our cell phones, and we can do anything right on our cell phone that we had to have huge computers at one time to do. So yes, bringing it down to a level that is so small that they're gonna. I mean, they've really shown some of these things, and I tell you, the thing that I just couldn't hardly stand was those dogs that they developed, those robotic dogs for the military.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's something eerie about that, and I think it reminds me of when the Bible says about the abyss opening up and these things come out with stingers in their tails, and that they sting you and hurt you, and the people can't die because the deal is to make you not die, and that's the promise they're going to give humanity, to do what Satan wants for this the world to move toward this new world order. They're going to promise you with a mark of the beast that you're not going to die. So we already know through CERN and some of the things that they've just developed and found out how they could move something that was like turn lead into gold. That's an old secret society thing they've been trying for years and years. They finally did it with CERN. So
alchemy, they've cracked alchemy. I'm going to pull up something while you're talking here because I want to ask you about something that kind of goes along with this a little bit, I think. But yeah, I mean,
sacred alchemy has been, even keeping flesh alive in petri dishes, or keeping it. I mean, I was writing about things like this a long time ago, and people say, "How are they doing that?" And I'm like, "It's historical. You can find it if you do the research on it. It's not like it's just fake news or it's not real." The thing about it is that once we move to that level that they can push you to believe that you can live forever inside of a robot, then you kind of go like, oh my gosh, the flesh situation, yes, would be like the Bible said. If the days are not cut short, no flesh could survive this. It's literally talking about human flesh. The clay will not live. And I don't know, those dog robots that they developed, that DARPA was involved with that. There was just something eerie that made me think, here you are, if you took the mark, you could not die. You're in that state of transhuman singularity. And then they unleash these things on you and they attack you and they're stinging you and you can feel it, but you don't die. I mean, where we're going with the technology that we have right now, that would be capable because they can put stuff in insects now.
Exactly.
And direct them and control them just like they do, a small engine up in the air. Like we used to have these little planes that we could fly around and we have the little remote controls. And now, I mean, you're just doing so much more. You've got cameras and you've got missiles and you've got the capability of shooting somebody with all this kind of stuff that you can fly around. Well, you use something so small that it's not seeable or noticeable. There's just I guess what I'm saying, the sky is the limit with this capability. And it's all going to be used against us for warfare.
Exactly.
You either do what they say or you got a choice. You either do this or the guillotine. But it's your choice. It's going to be your choice either way. But it's either living that way or dying the old way. And most people are going to choose to live. and
Yeah,
they'll
I
take
mean that's
that mark.
actually that's our what do I say? That's our go-to. That's I mean, people automatically want to survive. I mean, given the choice, but that's where it's going to have to come in is where our faith lies because
Exactly.
we're going to have to know people that have no hope beyond the grave. Those are the ones that are going to give in to whatever technology or whatever things that are offered to them to prolong their lives. Whereas we are going to have to make sure that our foundation is secure enough and built secure, securely enough that we know that beyond the grave we have hope. That's where our salvation is going to lie. And once we take this mark or whatever this is that they're going to offer us, there's no going back from that.
Well, yeah, and the thing about it, the laws and things that allow, let's just say DARPA to be able to do what they do. They don't have to follow the same ethical and legal guidelines that
No,
you
they
and I
don't.
might have to do in a business that we would have in open public, okay?
Right.
Because they are looking at projects that, are going to do things that we never dreamed was possible. So they don't have to live up to the same standards as to what they might do. And it's no different than people were talking about, well, could you clone a dinosaur? And I'm like, well, yes. If you found the right DNA and you could bring it back, they've done some, I think, some saber-toothed tiger DNA. The thing about it is, you kind of see it in one light to say, well, if I was a scientist, I'd kind of like to know what one of those things looked like. So if I could figure out how to do it, well, there was a movie a long time ago that I mentioned in one of my books called The Isle of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, yeah.
And literally, I know that probably Jurassic Park, we watched one of those movies the other night, could be potentially a possibility if you had a laboratory set up on an island like that you didn't have, that you guarded or whatever, and you did certain biological things like that. Well, we've all heard about Area 51 out in Nevada,
I
and
think that's what's happening on Antarctica. I think it's secluded enough that they think that they can perform these experiments to where it's not going to be detrimental to humanity. Eventually, it will be, but I think that's what's going on in Antarctica.
well, I mean, I can understand because of the research as a scientist in me, I would want to know what did that look like, what kind of like. So I could be going, okay, well, let's see if we can develop one of these things. So I mean, just out of the goodness of wanting to understand it. But when people are doing these kinds of things under the cloak of darkness, under black budgets, in secretive basements or whatever, I mean, people say, oh, well, it'll come out, somebody will find out about it. Well, look at all the sex trafficking that's been going on with Epstein and all the stuff that's coming out now. This has been going on for years. We're not talking about something that just happened last year that had a couple of people involved in it. We're talking about people that go way back into our historical big time people who were connected to something, flying in and out of airports. They didn't have to go through any kind of surveillance or logging people that were flying with them. I mean, just weird things that they were getting away. So if you look at something like that and you see really the monstrosity of how bad that was, just imagine if somebody was doing science things, and there was something that somebody's come out forward the other day. I was hearing a kind of a story about a lady where Epstein took her to somewhere out in New Mexico to a lab and did something.
Yep.
I mean, you've got to stop and think there are evil geniuses in the world. And if you've got those people, and then you've got these people doing secretive lab experiments, and a lot of them have absolutely collaborated with universities. Just look at our latest pandemic. I mean, really? CDC guys, university.
Did you see on the DARPA website, it says that DARPA was involved in creating the Moderna.
That's right. And see, that's the thing that really, when you start talking about what is the capability of people with a lot of money, literally look at Elon Musk.
I know.
It's
He's got more
unfortunate.
money
The
than
more
sense.
money you have, the more you can do.
I
But
think
you
he's
gotta
got
have
more
money
money.
to do
He's got more money than sense sometimes, I think.
Well, the thing about it is he is so innovative in taking us to that next level that he's pushing his technology for singularity. I mean, that's where it all lies. He's got the Starlink, he's got the Neuralink, he's got everything. He has the system. And that's what somebody asked me the other day. They said, "Do you think that the Antichrist will come before the beast system, or will the beast system be here for the Antichrist to take over?" And I said, man, the scaffolding and the plumbing has already been put together for the beast system. So it's here. And once it perfects itself, then that guy that's waiting in the wings is going to step up, that's all CNI, the queen bee, to run it all. And he will step up at the last minute to oversee it, because everybody's going to be in that mode of acceptance. And if you don't accept it, then you can take the guillotine and get out of here. One or the other. You're not going to be able to buy, sell, or trade. And that's the thing, is how quickly our money is leaving the commonality of using, nickels, dimes, quarters, pennies. In my bank here in town, they won't take any pennies. In other words, if I got 1,000,000 pennies, I cannot take them down to my bank and get it exchanged for real money. So I'm going to have to take my penny collection somewhere else to get money for my penny collection. So the thing about it is, we're seeing how the dollar's gone into a digital state. We know that Trump is very much into stable coins, and he's encouraging his people who do business with him to go in that direction too. So we're seeing that everything's moving into centralized banking. We're seeing everything's moving into these stable coins, because never before was stable coin, any kind of Bitcoin did not have like a backing to it. But once you got stable coins, it's kind of like the FDIC, you've got something that's going to protect your money or whatever. Well, same thing with stablecoin. Once those things get so popular and everybody begins to do business in that aspect, then as it is now, when I was a little girl, we exchanged money. Then we went to checks. Then we went to credit cards. It had to lose this little thing. You had to push it back and forth, and it took forever to get the little thing tore off. And then we went to, to slide it, to stick the thing in the end with a chip, to waving it over. And now you have an Apple Wallet, and you got it on your phone, and you don't have to have your driver's license, social security card, whatever. You just swipe your phone. Well, there's the end of that, because the next step is like the Apple Palm, where you just use your palm, and it does the biological aspects of your hand, and it does your bank transactions. So we're moving quickly through all these little systems so that we're connected biologically. That's why biotechnology is so important. It's connecting the clay with the iron to identify you. And once it does that, Lord, there is no way for you to run, hide. There's no place, because that frequency is just like your cell phone. Your cell phone, you can turn it off, and you can say, I don't want to hear any calls. But what people don't know, it's still pinging.
Oh, I can shut my phone off right now, and it says on the screen, phone is still findable.
That's right. And so a lot of people thought, well, I can just shut it off and nobody can find me. But when it comes down to 6G technology, and it comes down to the DNA connected to biotechnology like that, using AI and this Neuralink and Starlink and all of that, you can't shut it off. We saw the movies, that came out about the Matrix, red pill, blue pill. You're in there, and even John Wick, when they got ready to get rid of them, it's like, tink, because they have the connection capability to it. Except in this situation, they have your number, your frequency, because your DNA is not like anybody else's. So, a long time ago, people would say, oh, well, if I get the mark of the beast, I can probably pull that little thing out of me, and they won't be able to find me. I cut out the piece of rice chip that's a RFID chip. And that's the only thing we knew was radio frequency ID at that time. But now, connected to your DNA, you can't take your DNA out of you. So you're pinging your frequency. I don't care where you are. If you're in a million people, they can find you. Just like if they call your cell phone and you're in a million people and your cell phone rings. So all this sound, light, and frequency, the controlling factor, and that's the thing about it. DARPA has been quietly working all this stuff. They were the ones that brought about the internet. They birthed the internet, DARPA did. And then they went into GPS technology, and that was wonderful because, like, if for some reason your dog got lost, you could put him in a chip in him and you could find him within 5 feet of where he was at. And then, GPS, we could drive across the country. You can put your chips in your cars and turn it on and it'd take your car right where you needed to know. I mean, all our airplanes are flying on GPS technology. And then you start looking at stealth technology. And I saw that at TRW when that stealth technology came out. Then cloaking is the next thing that they're doing. And there's doubt in my mind that some of that stuff that they experienced in Venezuela, there was some cloaking probably involved in it. But I've been telling this a long time ago. Our eyes can only see within this 3 dimension, but there's a lot more dimensions, because if you look at things through infrared or ultraviolet light, you can see things you can't see with your normal eyes.
Absolutely.
So the thing about it is, if you bend light at an angle, I could have you standing right here, okay? And if I bent that light at my eyes, you could be right there almost at my nose, and I couldn't see you. I literally would not be able to see you because just light. And again, light, sound, and frequency. It controls every aspect of who we are biologically. That's how we were created. I mean, it's like I've tried to explain, the pineal gland in your head is a transponder and receiver. It is a workable third eye. And the people know to control us. They have put the right things within us. They've modified our food. They've given us terrible shots. They've filled our bodies full of things that make us more susceptible to being antennas. It's like a long time ago when we didn't get good reception, we had rabbit ears and we would put aluminum foil to make it more receptive. Right. Our bodies are being filled with chemicals and drugs and things from the environment. And so we're becoming more like an antenna. So the bigger our antenna, when they get ready to beam those processes from those satellites and connect us up and connect the human brains and make them singularity, make them transhuman, it's going to work. It's not conspiracy. And I think about, oh my gosh, the technology, the brain-computer interfaces, the inability to hack into a human brain like that. And then the quantum networks that have been set up by DARPA. I mean, it's not fake news. It is not a conspiracy. But if anything, Laura, as Christians, I can honestly say, look up. Our redemption draws nigh. Yeah. Because it says that the generation of those 10 toes, that's the final generation, and that all these things would come to pass. Never in the history of mankind could all of mankind be connected to something that could be controlling them like the Tower of Babel and taking them back to universal collective consciousness, putting them where something could rule the top of humanity like a beehive and force us into that great reset of humanity. Take us back to where that was probably one of the greatest really abominations that ever occurred, was the Tower of Babel in God's eyes. So here we are. Satan wants to play God. He's got the opportunity to do this. He has a way for humanity to worship him as the Savior because we don't have to die. I will tell you, I don't know anybody unless somebody is just depressed and wants to commit suicide. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to get old. I mean, even Christians and like myself, who I want to go and be in paradise and be with God, and I don't want to ever do anything that would cost that. I mean, I try to think every day what I'm think, do, or say that it won't keep me out of any kind of thing that or do any kind of thing that would keep me out of heaven. But at the same time, you are familiar with where you are now, and you only have faith of where you are going. And that faith keeps us strong to know that when we pass, that we have paradise because we've lived our lives, we've chosen Jesus Christ, we've asked for forgiveness of our sins, we've sought our salvation. Those kinds of things are good for Christians. But if you look at it, why would a Christian even go to the doctor? Why would a Christian take vitamins? Why, if you know that that is your great future, why wouldn't you just want to go ahead and go there? I mean, there are people who are Christian scientists who believe that, you shouldn't go to a doctor, that kind of stuff. But the thing about it is we all want to live. And Satan knows that that is probably the greatest thing that if you can promise somebody, and scientists have been working on this forever, trying to find the death gene, to put a stop to the death gene, to let flesh live. I mean, they can do that in petri dishes. They've done it scientifically. They have found the God particle. They understand the telomeres that are on our chromosomes, that when they start shortening, how we can lengthen them. I mean, we have the scientific understanding on how to keep flesh alive. The problem is we can't keep death from happening eventually. But if Satan can give us all these interfaces, if he can mix this metal with us and promise us that in a computer somewhere, our minds, our brains, who we are stays alive forever and ever. And we're seeing this because they've developed these chat bots and stuff like that, where you can put your family member that passed away in there and have a conversation with them every day and ask them questions, and they talk back to you like they're still alive. So they're programming people to believe that it's possible that the person is still alive and still has the capability to make decisions and whatever. They don't understand it's just algorithms and things of that nature that's allowing them to respond back. But they're not human. They're not human anymore. But if we can take, like you talked about earlier, the younger generation, they're just sucked into this.
Wow.
And they're not going to turn their back if they think they can live forever. If they can do this, if it looks real to them, and that seems like that's mama's still here talking back and forth to me, and she can still tell me if I go sit down every afternoon and say, okay, mama, I'm back, and I need to know, what do I need to do tomorrow? If she can respond the way I want her to, and that's what they're feeling when they're getting all those algorithms set up from what they gather, the information from you, is to give you that. You will never get over somebody dying. But at the same time, you're accepting that a person is still alive there. So that detachment that we saw happening when we started letting kids play games and they were killing, and then, the game ends and then the characters are back the next day.
Right.
There's no fear. Shoot somebody. They're not even thinking that this is a finality.
Right.
They're dead. They're not coming back in some of these situations. And so once you stop the thought process of death being a finality, Satan's after that thought process that you can live forever, and you don't have to ask for Jesus to forgive your sins or seek salvation or turn your life over to him and to follow him and live the way he expects through scripture. Here's a better way. I mean, even now they have the chat Jesus that's a hologram that's got 100 different religions put together, and you can go in and do confession. with something that you think is Jesus, and he's giving you information back. Well, he's giving you information that is algorithms of all kinds of information from all kinds of religions. So it's not Jesus. It's not scripture. And so whatever you're being told and you walk out of there thinking, oh, I don't need to worry about, and you believe what, it's like the Catholic Church tells you that we all worship the same God by different names. If you keep being brainwashed and you're listening to all this stuff, it'll be a shoe-in for people to take the mark of the beast. And Satan knows that. He knows that. And the AI systems that our government through Daarpa have been working on literally are going to give us the capability quickly. And like I've told many people, this electronic warfare can jam signals. It can redo frequencies. It can do countermeasures more faster than you can move or your eyes can blink. So if you stop and think about it, we are moving into something that's guarding everything we do and is very aware of it. And at the same time, it is a whole different world where you've got electromagnetic dominance. And never before until now is that been possible.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. And these are things that DARPA, I mean, if you don't believe me, just look up some stuff on DARPA and it'll tell you the unclassified. They've got, unclassified documents that they let you look at. They're looking, I mean, all these things are going on. I mean, it's just absolutely looking at how do we engineer electronic warfare to physically damage humans if they misbehave, mess up communications between people, and really they're going to be making life or death decisions based on their pre-programmed rules and algorithms. And then your human element, where let's just say a doctor says, well, to somebody they got cancer, and he says, well, we can go ahead and we'll start you on chemotherapy, where AI, which they're trying to push, to the new wallets of health IDs and things of that nature. If you're a certain age, well, they won't even offer that to you. But let's just say that he says, we'll try doing a type of chemotherapy, where AI may say, no, they're really too old. They don't contribute to society. We're already paying out X amount of money for them. So we don't offer that. Well, that's what AI would do. You already got diabetes. You never taken care of your body. You drank half your life. You've lived your life. You really were a menace to society. And then they would know all this stuff in your digital wallet, your ID wallet. And then that AI, based on what they know about you, would say, we're not doing anything for you. In fact, we're recommending for you to have euthanasia. And that's one thing in Canada they're starting to really promote is euthanasia.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Take the step into death. And people are accepting that.
Yes.
They're literally going, okay, well, if there's no hope for me. And we got programmed into this with hospice. A long time ago, doctors had that human element. We would go the distance, whatever it took. The Hippocratic Oath was to do whatever, you didn't give up. Then we
my cousin actually ended his life last year. He had an infection in his body that it was antibiotic resistant. He was in excruciating pain. They couldn't really do anything else for him, and he decided to euthanize himself.
That's right. I mean, and that's being encouraged. And I think it's Canada that's really doing legislation right now with the intent of doing that and allowing people, if they don't want to go to the nursing home and nobody's taking care of them, they're just going to sit there and die, just go ahead and get out of here. we have never been told to do something like that. In fact, that in scripture is like the worst of the worst thing, because it says you honor your father and your mother, you look after them, and your days will be long on this life, on this earth. You literally are never told to allow something like that to happen. You are to respect your elders, to look after them. A long time ago, people moved their older family members in with them. They took care of them.
Yeah, they do that in China and Japan. They do that. I mean, they take care of the parents when they get older. That's something that I think they value the elders.
Well, it's the human element.
Yeah.
But then when you start talking AI,
Oh yeah.
then if the AI is going to look at, if you got all that stuff going on, it's time for you to decide to either have your head cut off or take a shot and get out of this place.
I showed you that commercial that what I forgot to put out. It was on MTV, but it was Agenda 21 commercial with the elderly woman. She says, "I lived a good life," and they go on, "I lived a good life. I lived a good life," and it talks about how they're ending their life to make it way for their children, to make it better for their children.
That's right. And if you start looking at the sustainability goals and objectives for planet Earth, I mean, they're already saying we don't have the necessary resources to really maintain the population that we have on this planet if it continues to grow. So how do we not let that happen? And like you say, I saw those advertisements on TV about them older women going, "I've lived a good life."
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, because
I mean, they were adamant. I'm checking out because I want my grandparents, my granddaughter or my grandson to have a better life because I'm not taking up space. Oh my gosh, that is like just sending their souls right into hell. It's not saying God makes the determination about all of this. He's the one that brought you in. He has the right to take you out when he wants to take you out. So it's a terrible thing when you see youth in Asia being promoted like it is. But again, it is going to push us down. And Satan knows this, to that final thing. You're either going to go with us to be in the golden age, or there's the guillotine. One or the other. Exactly. Make your mind up now. And if you don't, you can't buy, sell, or trade when you get in that situation. You can't get to any money. And if you don't have the connection through your mark to get your money, nobody's going to say, "I'll half up the milk with you today." People are just not going to do that because the surveillance will be so great. I mean, if you can put eyes of little bots inside of dragonflies and control you control them to go wherever you want to go. It's impossible. And right now, I mean, the fact that we went to fiber optic capability, we don't even know if our TVs, our smart TVs, are really watching us because the capability is there. And then when you look at satellites and low Earth orbit satellites, I mean, there's just so much that you can see from espionage and things that's been done and trying to understand what's, in other countries and spying on them and this and there, where our technology is right now for that. Imagine if it's like we're talking about 50 years away in the future that they're already capable of doing, because we can look at it. I mean, like I said, they can bend light. They can make it look like something is invisible to your naked eye. Daarpa has worked on all these kind of programs.
Whatever the Bible says, whatever you can imagine, you can achieve.
Exactly. That's right. And the whole thing is the strategy behind it is like what Elon Musk said.
Oh yeah.
It's singularity. It's dominance. It's dominance over the human being. It's like I've always said, the new oil, the new thing is DNA.
Yeah.
It is so important to them.
It's going to be the new currency. Definitely the new currency.
They're going to be able to direct all their energy weapons. They're going to use the psychological ops that they've got. We already see the weather modifications that they're using. I mean, Daarpa was involved in all of that.
Yep. Yeah. I'm going to show this. There's two things I'm going to show. This one is the Agenda 21 commercial that was played on MTV back about 10, 15 years ago. And then I'm going to show you a trailer. It was a concept that was put forth by a gentleman by the name of David Crowley. And he was actually, him and his family were murdered because of the movie that he had planned. I'm going to show you this one first, and then I'll take you over to show you exactly what a surveillance state looks like. Hang on just a second.
Just cannot handle the sheer number of humans who live here. Something has to give. And I believe that it's up to us who have lived a good life to make sure that our children will have the opportunity to live good lives too. I have lived a good life.
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 That is all true. That is not fake news. That is all true.
Exactly. And I'm going to show you this one. Again, this was done by David Crowley. It never actually went to be a movie. He was, like I said, him, his wife, and his they were murdered. So take a listen.
Sit right past.
Transaction.
They're here already.
Tommy.
Since last night's declaration of martial law, soldiers are moving into secure key areas.
Response to UN presence in
Last night I dreamt about how things were. And then I woke up here.
I believe this right here was what got him killed. Yeah, it was the gray state. This scene right here. Is, I believe, what got him killed. Whoops. I don't know if you can see it. Every enemy has a snake. You see that? You see what the executioner is wearing?
Oh, yes.
Yes. I believe that right there, that scene is probably what got him and his wife killed.
You know, Lori, again, I know that people listening we probably scared them to death if they were they were not already scared when they heard what we were going to talk about. But, you know, the thing about it is we have to tell you the truth. And that's one thing that I have always enjoyed being on your show is that we are telling people the truth to prepare your family for what's coming. It's kind of like there is an earthquake coming. And in your earthquake bag, you know what to put in there to hopefully survive what's going to happen. With what is coming as a Christian, what's in your bag is your Bible. What's in your heart, your soul, and your mind focused on is Jesus Christ. We are to work until he comes back. We're not to run or cower or do whatever. We're to stand for the truth. But it may mean dying as a martyr for your belief.
Yeah.
And if you have not talked to your children, grandchildren, families, friends, aunts, uncles, moms, and dads, you need to do that because you need to be prepared to meet them on the other side if you have to choose to take a guillotine over that mark. Because in scripture, it tells you if you ever connect yourself to that beast system, your chances of ever being redeemed from that are zero.
Yep.
You can't fight the Antichrist. You can't, if you get left behind, you can't band together and fight the Antichrist. You can't tear this system out of your body. There's no way out. Once you sell your soul to the system, you're gone. And if your children, grandchildren, families, loved ones don't understand that, then you're not preparing them for the earthquake.
Right.
And I just can't stress enough. If you don't like to go to a big church, find you a small church or gather together with friends who have this same understanding about scripture. You need someone to talk to lean on, to get refueled by working together as the days get worse. And to me, people who can find like-minded Christians need to be finding those people now.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a time coming when your neighbors will turn against you. I mean, it's like 1984, George Orwellian, Big Brother's watching you. We are headed there as fast as I can say scat. We are not looking at years down the road. We are looking that this comes about, I believe we're second to midnight.
Yeah.
And the only thing that has to happen, because all these things we've talked about tonight are already in place, they're being done. And I really think this Venezuelan situation allows you to understand that 6G technology is here.
Yeah.
It has been perfected and it's ready to put you in order. You either do it our way or it's death. One or the other. One or the other.
Yeah. Well, our 2 hours, like always, just flies by.
It does. I tell you, we could go on and on and on about even more of the biotechnology and the AI that Daarpa is involved with. But once they get into that level of knowledge, it's already been put in place. I mean, it's just there waiting. And
it is.
I just, again, the greatest thing that you have is your soul. It is your greatest asset. And I cannot tell you enough. Guard it with your life.
Exactly.
Because Satan wants that. That's all he wants.
Satan wants it, and he knows
money. He don't want your anything. He wants you. He wants to take you and your soul, who you are. Your soul is who you are, into the gates of hell with him for all eternity. And he's got the technology that's going to be so people are going to want to go to it. I mean, it's not going to look like it's bad.
Right. Exactly.
Be wise. Be wise.
Exactly.
Use discernment.
Amen. And if you don't think you have discernment, or you don't know what it is, or whatever, pray to God. Pray for discernment. Be careful, because He will give it to you.
Yes. But seek His word. Find Him. And if you are living a life that's not good, turn your life over to him. Ask Jesus to come in your heart. Ask him to save you, and then turn around. I mean, that's the one thing he promises you right now before death occurs. You have the right to ask him and truly live and believe and trust in him, and he will save you. But you got to give up those old ways and really repent and ask for forgiveness. And he will. He promises. He loves us. But if you choose not to do that, and you choose to turn yourself into a transhuman,
No going back.
you can never go back. And if anybody promises you that, they are a false prophet.
Yeah. Amen. Well, thank you, Joye, for joining me tonight.
Thank you,
I look
Lord.
forward to our next show, as always.
Yes.
Sure.
And it'll go by till the next month to be here before we can say scat again.
Exactly, but thank you. You can find Dr. Joye and her books over on drjoy.com. I will put the link in the description below for you guys to go over there and read her books. They are amazing. Her research is spot on. And I'll tell you something. If you've read her books in the past and you thought, well, I don't know, Sue, look what's going on. Read the newspapers now. Look at the headlines now, because all of her books are coming to fruition. And she hasn't been wrong yet. So I will bid you guys adieu. I want to thank everybody in our chat room. I thank all of our moderators, and we will see you guys next time. And as always, eyes open, no fear.